The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello and welcome all to the webinar. Thank you very much for joining me. I can see there's still one or two people arriving at the moment, but I want to crack on because I'm conscious I've got a lot to get through. First of all, thank you for joining me. I aim to make this hour informative and useful to you, and I will do my best to achieve that aim. This is all about you. It's all about me giving you some ideas for how you can have your best year yet, and to give you a system to follow, which I know will work for you. But the first thing is, to let you know what my background is. For those of you who don't know, very briefly, as I say, Marketing 101 is all about you, so it will all be about you. But a little bit of my background hopefully enable you to think it might be worth you giving me your undivided attention for the next 60 minutes. I'm a solicitor, as you can see, non-practicing, which I have to put on everything because if I held out that I was still a practicing solicitor, I believe the punishment by the SRA, which is totally proportionate, is to put me up against a wall and then have me shot several times. So I don't fancy that, so I have to put non-practicing on everything. I started as a ILEX trainee legal exec. I wrote to about 60 odd law firms pestering them to give me a job after I'd had an early sabbatical in my early 20s. Finally found someone fool enough to take me, and worked as a trainee paralegal, I suppose, before within a couple of years having a full caseload, running a full personal injury caseload, and then taking over the marketing for the practice I worked for, which was a 4-branch, 7 or 8 partner practice, and finding that the marketing was much more enjoyable to me than the actual legal practice. So realized that I'd go off to set up Sampson Consulting quite quickly. But I had an 8-year study period to get through, doing it the hard way, ILEX, followed by 2 years of law school at Guildford. So once I'd done that, rather than take partnership, which was on offer to me, knowing that I wanted to form Sampson Consulting, I decided that people who didn't know me, I ought to get a better profile. So I went to a big firm in Bristol that I knew would give me the opportunity to speak at events, do presentations, and indeed I did, and wrote a book as well, so at least some people had heard my name before I launched this. I had a final year of working purely in business development before then setting up a franchise selling promotional merchandise. That is to you Mickey Mouse pens and golf umbrellas with branding on. And the reason I did that was I didn't think it was right that I went straight off and set up a business telling law firms how to run a business when I'd never run one of my own. In the first year I turned over about 50% more than anyone else had done in that sector, but the margins were appalling, and I'm going to talk about your margins later, but the margins in that were appalling. So rather than keep running it, let someone else take it over, which was my plan, I stopped running it and concentrated on setting up Samson Consulting. And that's it in a nutshell. That's where we are. So that's enough about me. Now let's get to be all about you. So how do you have your best year yet in 2013? Well, I thought Einstein's quote was very appropriate. Keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results equals insanity. And so frequently I see people trying to do that, saying that this year's going to be better, or what are you going to do differently? What's going to change this year? Where are you going to go? Well, I'm going to do what I did last year, but just try and do a little bit more of it. If you want to have your best year yet, and you absolutely can do, I'm working with clients now who are having great years, who are growing their practice massively, not just small amounts, not 5,000 here or 10,000, hundreds of thousands increase in turnovers. There is enough work out there. If you're not getting enough, it's because your marketing's not working, you're marketing in the wrong ways. And today I want to show you where you should be marketing and how to market better to make everything more effective for you. So that's what we'll do today. Get you doing different things as opposed to the same things so that the next year can be better for you. What are we going to cover? We're going to cover the marketing tactics you should be looking at. More importantly, the practical steps you need to go through when assessing a marketing opportunity to see if it's worth doing, see if it's worth your time, your investment, your energy, or whether you're throwing money away. Why is it important now? Well, it's a changing marketplace, and there's more people there, and there's more competition, and people are becoming more imaginative in their marketing. So you need to be doing something differently, not doing the same things you did last year, and doing things so that they're much more effective. At the end of the call, I'm going to give you a gift, which is a checklist to follow, which takes you through the steps I'm going to cover with you throughout the webinar. So that's my bait to keep you there to the end, but I make no bones about it. I do these free webinars to introduce you to, I hope, the way I work, so you can understand what you need to be doing. If you don't want to work with me, off you go, that's fine. You've got enough information, I'm certain, from today to make things happen. If you choose to work with me, I'll outline at the end a new, completely new way, and new to I think the legal market in the UK way of working with me. But as I say, that's for you to choose completely. I will be giving you plenty of value during the course of the session that you will get enough from it that you don't have to do that. So I urge you to listen. I urge you to put away the laptops, the emails, the mobile phone, and stop planning your dinner and just give me an hour, because one thing I say in this session, I'm sure there's a few things, but one thing could save you £1,000 or could make you £1,000. So if it can do that, please put down your technology. I'm amazed at the number of times I'm having meetings like this, go-to meetings with clients, and they are using their phone, they're answering their technology, etc. So please put that away, and I'll do my best to make this very worthwhile for you. First question I have for you then, are you riding the marketing roller coaster? Are you undertaking I should first point out, I think you'll all have to agree that my skills better be better at marketing than they are at using website design tools. But that's as good as I could do, but I think it emphasizes what I'm talking about. That what happens in most law firms is they have a quiet period and they think, crikey, I need to get some more clients in, I'm going to do some marketing, set up some systems, here we go, let's start growing this thing. And what happens is they start doing the marketing down here, things start to get better, more clients come in, and they get to the point at the top that they're so busy, guess what stops? The marketing stops. And then slowly they start coming down on the other side because the clients aren't coming to them anymore, and they quite enjoy that period because they've had a busy few months and don't want to go back there. But then it keeps on going down until we get back to the plateau when the marketing starts all over again because cash flow's gone. So we start marketing more, we come up to the top, we stop again because we're busy, and we go on and on and on like this forever. Now, whatever you learn from today, the biggest thing I want you to take away is that until you get off this marketing roller coaster, things are going to keep being the same and you won't have your best year yet. If you get off this roller coaster and you start putting in place systems that work with or without you, which is the crucial part, You automate your marketing processes so that you could take 6 months off if that's what you wanted to do. Until you can do that, things aren't going to change, and that's what I want you to understand from today. Your job is very much a case of I see it, and having worked with law firms, both inside one for 14 years and having done this for 10, your job is very much to control system suppliers, but not to do everything. If you are still doing all of your marketing, you're changing your website, you're doing that's false economy, and I'll come back to that shortly. So we need to automate. You need to automate your marketing. We need to make this work. So how do you automate? Process is quite straightforward. You decide on the marketing tactic, and I'll show you how we look at choosing the marketing tactics. You get that marketing tactic working, and then you outsource it to suppliers so you don't have to do anything. How do you choose suppliers? Well, if you work with me, you get access to my preferred suppliers, but if not, you follow the system I did when I was having a kitchen built a few years back, in that we got quotes from 5 or 6 different suppliers, and they all, I have no doubt, could do a similar sort of job, but they all gave us different ideas, and throughout the process of having different people, we learned things about the kitchen we didn't know. We thought about layout and all sorts of different gadgets we could have. And we ended up with a perfect kitchen, but if we'd only seen 1 or 2 suppliers, there's no way we'd have got that. So when you're choosing suppliers, choose your tactic and choose the supplier by interviewing 5, 6, 7, 10 of them if you have to. The time you spend at the beginning finding the right supplier will save you thousands or tens of thousands and produce better results for you, so it is well worth it. So there's no mystique behind finding a supplier. Trial and error certainly is the case, but the more you interview at the beginning, the better you'll think, yes, that's the supplier that I can work with. And the point when coming to suppliers, like I said, I come back to is you are very lucky. You might not think so at times, but my friend's dog Shadow certainly thinks so. They don't have a dog and bark themselves, and you shouldn't either. You've got in the legal service, thankfully still in most cases, obviously the government's doing its best to take any profit from the personal injury side of things, but in most cases you can make a decent margin on the work that you do, and you can charge a reasonable amount. Now if you can charge 100, 200, 300 pounds an hour, and yet suppliers for most marketing tactic implementation will be charging 20, 30, 40 pounds an hour, it is absolutely insanity, going back to Einstein, absolute insanity if you start trying to do your marketing. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. If you can make 250 pounds an hour and pay a supplier 40 pounds an hour, obviously the sensible thing to do is to pay that supplier, and that supplier will be an expert in the area of marketing that you're engaging them for. It will save you a fortune. I see so many partners in law firms, and I tend to work with sole decision makers, might have a big firm, but they're the main decision maker, playing with websites and playing with Google AdWords and playing with SEO. Stop it. Do the stuff you're the best at. If that's managing a firm or fee earning, do that and get good suppliers to do the rest for you. It makes no sense to do all the barking. So how do you choose marketing tactics? There's so many different tactics out there. There's so many different ways of putting yourself in front of your clients, or in front of your prospects, to alert them to the availability of your services. How do you choose the right ones? Of course, lots of people love to chase the shiny ones. So Facebook you saw there, that's exciting, isn't it? Because it's new, and we like new things. Your website, that's my website. I couldn't put all of yours up at the same time. Search engine marketing, Yellow Pages, what a lovely wildebeest of an example that is of marketing. But the most important thing is you need to stop, and you need a system for choosing marketing tactics. And the system I'll give with you today, whether you stay and work with me at the end or not, this system, please use it, because it will save you a tiny or a gigantic fortune in choosing the wrong marketing tactics. So I want you to have a system to follow so that you choose the right marketing tactics. So what's that system? Well, the first thing is there's several parts to it, but they're all very simple. The first part is the most important. I call it push v pull marketing. Is the marketing tactic you're looking at, and when I say tactic, it could be Google AdWords, it could be Facebook, it could be Twitter, it's any different way of getting clients to come to you, is it push or pull? Now in the example of the peacock here, he's a pretty boy, he fans his tail to attract a mate. And he's very subtle, and he uses all his elegance and all his grace and beauty to attract a mate. So it's very much attraction marketing or pull marketing. If a mate's interested, she sees and thinks, okay, let's have a look. On the other hand, some marketing tactics are very much more push marketing. They're forcing themselves upon you when you're not even thinking about them, and they're trying to get you to do something that isn't even in your thought process. It's not something you've contemplated, and it's not something you want to do. So it's trying to get in your way, stop you doing what you were intending to do, and make you do something else. Now, for legal services particularly, which is a very specific service, you don't want to be doing push marketing. I'm not suddenly going to be on Facebook and see you and go, that's what I need. I need a divorce lawyer. Wow, why didn't I think of that? It's not going to happen. That's not the way to be. Just to sort of prove this point, I've got a bit of interaction because I didn't want you falling asleep on me. So I want you to look at those types of marketing on the screen. Banner advertisements on other websites. And on my local newspaper ad, that's all these ones down the right-hand side telling me to go to Currys, telling me I want to go to, I'm not sure what that is yet, Facebook, Yahoo, I need to be using Windows Live, and this is my local newspaper website. So that's banner advertising, radio advertising, social media, Yellow Pages. I'm going to start this poll now. Just tell me what you think those types of advertising are. Are they banner advertising, are they push marketing or pull? So the poll should be on your screen now. I can tell from the second screen in my office that it is. This is all anonymous. You won't be, your name won't be revealed. But tell me whether you think it's push or pull. And I can see you're doing that. Thank you very much. The wonders of technology. Having said that, I'm not using PowerPoint because it kept on crashing on me, which is why it's a web-based presentation. So if Google can sell software and do it that badly, it's amazing what you could do if you do something well. Right, I think you're all nearly done, so let's close that. And there's the results of that poll. 56% of you think it's I've just lost my screen a minute. 56% of you think it's push marketing, and 44% of you think it's pull. It is push. It's the elephant, not the peacock. You're stopping me doing what I want to do, listen to the radio, you're stopping me browsing social media, and you're trying to get me to come to you because you're forcing yourself upon me. There's an element, I agree, which is maybe slightly confusing, which is why I put them in there, of newspaper advertising and Yellow Pages, that you're trying to use the peacock tail to attract me to you. But overall, you're actually it's push marketing. So you're trying to get me to come to you when I'm not thinking about you. I'm having a nice listen to the radio, and suddenly you're saying, "Come to me, come to me, come to me. You need a lawyer." So you need to work out what push marketing is, what attraction marketing is. The best form of marketing bar none is client referrals and recommendations. Why does it work? Well, you say to a friend, "Can you recommend a solicitor?" You're looking for one already because you've started the conversation. They say yes, go to ABC and Co. Smithers Jones. They're the best solicitors for you. You go to Smithers Jones. They don't let you down. Fantastic. You've got a great situation. So the best bar none is getting those referrals and recommendations. Second to that is definitely website marketing. Someone goes to Google, goes to whatever search engine they're using, types in, I need a solicitor in Bath, and finds your website, and if it does everything right, and we'll look at what that is soon, they come to you. It's as simple as that. So there's no better marketing, and which is why Google is so rich, because it works. People have already made the decision to buy a solicitor. They go online, they find a solicitor, they land on the solicitor's website. If they do everything right, they engage that solicitor. Other examples, your monthly email newsletter and recommendations from joint venture partners. I've been asked to write a chapter on a book which is all about the future of personal injury marketing after April, which is going to be interesting, but a big part of that is that it needs to be based around building joint ventures or reciprocal relationships which aren't based purely on finances, but are based on helping each other's business out. So that's going to be the challenge, but that can work. The interesting element about going back to the dog barking and the fees available for marketing spend and to outsource. There's no greater example of personal injury than saying, well, there's not going to be any more, but there was clearly margin in there to pay claims companies, referral agents. If that margin had been better used to promote their own business, then we would have a different marketplace. And I was at the beginning of this when I started Sanson Consulting, and a lot of the solicitors I knew were personal injury solicitors, and said, Nick, we need claims. And I said, great, I'll work with you. We'll do your marketing, and you'll generate work from your own website, from direct mail, whatever we look at. You'll generate the work, and you keep it all, and there's no referral fee to pay. And without exception, they all said, yeah, but that sounds like hard work. We'd rather just pay someone for the leads. So that's why that happened, but it can't happen like that anymore in PI, and it shouldn't happen in any other area of law. It should be all about generating your own marketing to work for you. So next question in this assessment, and this is part of the checklist I'll give you at the end. You've looked at the marketing tactic. Is it push-pull marketing? The next question you need to ask is, how did you find out about the tactic? Was it a cold call to you or a spam email? And I'm consistently amazed by solicitors saying to me, sending me things, and some of my marketing for solicitors members or my consultancy clients send me a spam email or say, oh, I've just had a call from this, it sounds great. If the subject of the email or the telephone call is so fantastic as a marketing tool, why do they have to resort to cold calling and spam emails, and hitting it several times? I get the same emails week in, week out from this company telling me that they have the best marketing system bar none. Well, if it was so good, every solicitor would have found out about it and would have told each other and shared, and you'd all be doing it. So they wouldn't need to spam email. So how has that tactic been presented to you? Have you found it through a website search, or has someone else, trusted advisor, an accountant that you work with, said, oh, I've been using this works really well, or another solicitor? And sharing with other solicitors is a big part, I see, of the future. It's something that's not happened, but it's a massive part of the future, and it's about sharing with the right solicitors, obviously not your direct competitors, but gaining together from the experience of each of you trying things. Is it shiny and new? And again, it's a constant problem that a lot of solicitors, certainly a lot of my clients, are entrepreneurial, and they hear about new marketing opportunities and they want to go off and they want to run off and try it. And at the moment, there seems to be a big push on NHS staff websites and also civil service staff websites. And as we know, we all employ about lots of civil servants in this country, so there's a lot of potential clients there. Are they going to go onto this staff website and use it? Legal services, I'd say unlikely, and from my experience of talking to different people, they're saying it's unlikely as well. It's not happening. So shiny and new isn't always a good thing. And finally, can you track it? If you can't track the results you're going to get from spending £500, £1,000, £2,000, £3,000, don't do it. You can't take the risk. You can't afford these days to spend money on something that you can't track. There is no treasure without measure. You can't find your pot of gold if you don't know how big the pot is when you find it. If you can't measure the marketing tactic you're thinking about, you shouldn't be entertaining it at all, because it's only going to cost you lost time, lost budget, and probably no leads whatsoever, which is generally the case. So those are other aspects of this checklist, and there's more to come throughout. As I say, I'll give you the whole thing at the end. I'll tell you how to get your hands on it. The next thing, firstly, I'll draw your attention to that box there. I'm happy to do, and I thought it might be a bit of fun, to do a live website review of someone's website. So if you fancy that, put in your website URL in the chat box, and I will pull the first one or two out of there that I come to. And I promise to be nice. I promise to be positive as opposed to negative. But if you want a free critique from someone that does quite a lot of this and spends a lot of time on website marketing, I'm going to do that shortly. So put some details in the box, and I will come and have a look at that in a moment. So your website. One of the people always think, oh, it's only about new leads, but it's not. The first place people go to check you out now, even if you're recommended to by a friend or a trusted advisor, is your website. Now, if someone recommends someone to me and I go and check their website out and it doesn't match the glowing praise I've been given for the service on offer, I go to the next one I find on Google. So if your website isn't up to the standard at the moment, it will definitely be costing you money and losing you business. So that's something that clearly we want to get away from. The reason I love website marketing, as I said, is because someone goes online and looks for you and finds you at the time they are ready to buy. Another reason I love it, it's easy to automate. It can happen with or without your input, and it happens week in, week out. It works 24/7 with or without you. So those are what I say, what I think of as very, very good reasons to have a website that works for you, because it normally when I get a website working for a client, or a client gets it working with my help, they're as happy as Larry because they're suddenly getting a stream of leads that come to them without them doing anything on a daily basis. Everybody loves that. I love that. It works for me. It works for us all because if we can have that, then it's certainly a nice thing to have. So the two functions of your website. Number one, to get people to find it. And secondly, to stop them leaving it before they get in touch with you. And we'll look at the things that you need to bear in mind to achieve that in terms of the design, layout, conversion, and one purpose per page. Now, I think I have a website to look at, bjhlisters.co.uk. Thank you very much for sharing. It's nothing like interaction. Bromwich Jackson Heath, hello. First thing I'd say is you've got Slisters here, which is good. I'd be inclined to make sure the word Slisters is on there because when we're talking about personal injury, often people don't know whether they're dealing with a claims company or some other legal entity. So the fact that you are Slisters and you pay all that money to be so, and you go through all the necessary rigmarole and all the current changes to be a Slister, that would be shouted loud and proud in the rooftops from me. People tend to read a website in an F shape, so they come onto the website and they start here. So they're going to read. They've got the right firm if they're recommended to you, or they see solicitor if they're not. You're going to read across the top so they can see your telephone number. So it's also a good place to put a strap line, something that says why you're different, why I choose you, to put that you offer free inquiries. So I know I'm under no obligation. It's not going to cost me money to get in touch with you. That I would have there, and then the left-hand side, people generally read down the left next, so they'd look at the flashing imagery, and they'd start to read the rest of the content. Now, if I go into the other thing to bear in mind is hardly anyone ever goes to a homepage of a website. Now, shocking, I know, as that is. If you're doing your website marketing well, I will never land on the website homepage because I will find the internal page for the type of service I'm looking for. So if I have a look where this firm is in Tadcaster, North Yorkshire, if I type in North Yorkshire Solicitor or Tadcaster Solicitor, I'll probably land on the contact page. If I type in Conveyancing Solicitor Tadcaster, I'll probably land on the conveyancing page. So let's do that as if I have. So I'm now landing on this page. The general overriding comment is the design's clean, everything's fine. The biggest trouble I have is we've got an awful lot of space taken up here, and with the navigation, and then a massive image before I actually get to any content. And so it's very difficult for me to sort of assess whether this is the right firm. I've got to come all the way down here, and then finally I've got some information. I say you should have one overriding purpose per page. That's the OPPP point here. One overriding purpose per page, and obviously in your case that is to get me to get in touch with you and ask you to help me with my legal problem conveyancing. So I would be inclined to say that the people could be moved to the right somewhere, but look, you have got an inquiry form here, which is great. I would have that very prominently displayed, and rather than request a call, I would put free inquiry, no obligation, make it easy for me to understand, because you're solicitors and I'm scared of solicitors because they always charge a fortune. As a member of the public, this is how I think. So you've got to make it clear to me that this is a free, no obligation call. So I'd have that up here. I'd have the content starting here, and maybe put the pictures either on the right-hand side further down where there's plenty of space, our team down here, and then the content is going to be visible when I land on this page, and maybe reduce the width of that header. When we talk about content, solicitors always tell me you can't have too much content on the page, people don't read it. Sadly, that's not true. If you don't have enough content on the page, you will never get any visitors to your website. So whether you like content or not isn't the question, and it's a mistake we often made in talking about marketing. It's what your clients like, but also it's whether Google likes it, will send any traffic to you. Excuse me. Will send any traffic to you. If you don't have enough content, you'll never get any free traffic, and that's a terrible waste. I can download a mini guide. Before I mention that, at the end of every page, repeat your one purpose per page. So make a free, no inquiry. Make a free, no inquiry, no obligation inquiry. That's it. Call free on this number, or fill in our free inquiry form on the right, or link to the inquiry form. Interesting stat on inquiry forms we find on our largest sites. 60% of people fill in the inquiry form rather than pick up the phone, even if it's a free phone number. Now, I think that's an interesting stat. As I say, if you're listening to some of the things I'm saying, that is a writer down there. If you don't have an inquiry form on your website and you suddenly put one on, those people that currently are going somewhere else will start coming to you. So that will make a difference to your year in 2013. So overall, good site, nice design, nice and clean, can definitely be improved. What I'm starting to see a lot of is navigations appearing on the right-hand side. I'm not personally a fan of that. I expect the navigation to be on the left because of the F reason I mentioned, that the people read a site in the F way, so we go across the top and then come down the left, and if I can see all the pages and services at a glance instead of having to hover over them, because I always find top navigation difficult. And when I go into a section, I expect that navigation to be there. The other comment is, if I'm in conveyancing, I want to see a conveyancing navigation, and then below that, 10 other pages in the conveyancing section that convince me you are experts in this area of law. So that's, I think, probably enough to whet your appetite for what you need to do. I might come back to that. I'm going to talk website marketing in a bit, so if someone else wants me to look at a different website and talk about whether it's set up right for search engine marketing, I will do that. So again, pop that into the chat box on your, touch your, I think it's a blue flower or an orange or purple flower, and you'll see a little chat box. Type something in there, and I'll review a different website. Otherwise, I'll come back to this one. And Bromwich Jackson Heath get 2 lots of free advice, which can't be a bad thing, can it? So I'll come to that shortly. So that's your website, and your website should be working very hard for you. More than that, it should be and can be producing at least 50% of your inquiries. If it's not doing that, then keep listening, because you certainly should be doing that. On to the next section, website marketing. And there's 2 main methods of marketing: Google AdWords and search engine optimization, search engine marketing. And if you have a good website that is converting traffic, then I suggest you need to be doing both. I always bang on, if you've heard me before, about the need to not rely on one form of marketing. So if you're doing just website marketing, don't just rely on Google AdWords, or don't rely on search engine optimization. And I was I was thinking last night about my rule of one, or the power of one, and the danger of it. And I was thinking, there's no better example of why you should never rely on one of anything than the human body. 2 nostrils, 2 ears, 2 eyes, 2 lungs, 2 kidneys, 2 legs, 2 arms. We were made with 2 of everything for good reason, that if one of them breaks down, stops working, or if Auntie Mabel needs one, we can still carry on functioning. But that it's the same with your marketing. It can't keep functioning if you rely on one thing, and I've seen this so many times with law firms. They rely on one method of bringing work in, and that stops, and suddenly the firm stops. So if you want to have the best year in 2013, if you want to do that, you have to change things. I think I might have another site. It's the same. I've got BGH twice. Does anyone else put up there? All right, I'm going to come back to BGH. And so where were we? We were in Lancaster, weren't we, as solicitors? So if I type in, where were we, Tadcaster? Type in Tadcaster solicitors. Well done, top of Google Maps, so that's working. What I'm more interested in at the moment is looking at Google AdWords, and these are the advertisements that appear at the top 3 here, and then on the right-hand side here. This is Google AdWords, and bear in mind that what I'm trying to show you is how it works. I'm not showing you the detail because I don't want you to know the detail, because if you know the detail you'll start getting too heavily involved. I want you to know enough to be able to grill suppliers and find the best ones to manage this, because if I go to my Google AdWords tool, and I've done a search here earlier, so if you ever want to do keyword research, type in Google AdWords keyword tool, type in the town you're in followed by solicitor, or in, as I've done there, and it gives you all sorts of ideas of what traffic is available to send to your website. Now in this solicitor in Middlesbrough example, it tells you that there's 1,300 searches a month, and you can get to the top of Google for something like £3.87. And here's the difference about you running a campaign, and I've helped solicitors with a lot of campaigns, and getting an expert to do it. If you run this campaign, you probably will spend £3.87 for every click when someone types in solicitor in Middlesbrough, clicks on your advertisement, which will appear on the right or in the top 3 positions here, and it will say solicitor in Middlesbrough. You'll pay that £3.87. If you get a professional agency to manage your pay-per-click campaign, you might end up spending 30p, 50p, 70p, but it's an awful lot less. So you realize if you have 100 clicks, 200 clicks during the month, the management fee for an pay-per-click agency will be about £300–400. You'll have covered that cost. More importantly, your campaign performs better, and because your campaign performs better because it's being run by a professional, you get more spend, but Google also rewards your advertisements and you get better results. So pay-per-click is one area. You should be found for these. If you've got specialisms, so if you're an employment solicitor, an Act UK-wide, you should be on the right-hand side or on the top, you should be coming up for these results. Local solicitors, each area of your law, followed by your town name. Google AdWords works because it brings you, like I said, people that are looking for your services right now and they want to engage your services. If they find you on pay-per-click, great. Organically, that's about being on Google Maps, but also in these positions here. Now that really is a science, and it's one area where I have to jump up and down occasionally. I've spoken with so many solicitors who say, I'm doing search engine marketing, I've been spending £300 a month, £400 a month with my web design company, and I'm not really seeing any results yet, but it's only a year in. So that's sort of £4,000, £5,000 spent in a year, no results, and that £5,000 could have been spent on pay-per-click and instantly could have generated results. So if you're spending that sort of money and not getting results on search engine marketing, stop it. To employ a proper search engine agency to get you to the top of Google is going to cost £1,250 to £1,500. But go back to the dog, go back to Shadow the dog. It will be money well spent, because if you get 5 clients and cover your costs, if we're talking £300 a transaction, so if you're just selling a single will, and that's the price you are charging for a single will, isn't it? Yes, of course, thought so. Then 5 wills and you've covered your costs of the search engine marketing. Any more than that, you break even. And I've got a client who I love his saying is if he spends £1,000, he can get 3 times that back. He's happy because he knows he's covered his costs. So thank you, Simon, for that. I love that one. It works very well. So if you can spend £1,000 on organic marketing, but you get 3 clients a month at £1,000 each, you've covered your cost. But more importantly, the longer you do search engine marketing, if you're working with a good supplier, the better the results are. So those are 2 areas where you really should be investing, because they're attraction marketing, they're pull marketing, and they will generate work for you. I have a couple of questions from someone who put some in. I haven't managed to put all of them in because I got a lot more than I could fit into the time. I understand the principle, social media is very important, Twitter, Facebook. How do I do it? Well, the first point is it's not that important on its own. Where Facebook, Twitter come into their own are pasting links back to your website when you add new content to your website, which is essential. When you grow your website with articles and blog posts and information, post a link on Twitter and on Facebook pages back to that page on your website. And that tells Google that you're a real business and not someone that's just trying to attract traffic to sell on to other people. So that's the most important part of social media for me. Facebook's great for brands, something exciting and sexy to talk about, then absolutely Facebook can work. Legal services, I'm just sorry, it's just not that exciting or sexy. So it can't bring you work on its own, but it can help your website marketing campaign. And in terms of the next question, 3 most important aspects of a website, I think I probably covered them. You've got to get people to it. It's got to be easy to navigate around and to use and have the focus of one purpose per page, and then it will stop them leaving. So those are the 3 crucial points, really. All of these elements, keyword research I've touched on with you, it works for both. You've got to type in your town name followed by solicitor and you'll find all sorts of people looking for you. With search engine optimization and with pay-per-click, you'll see the biggest point at the bottom of each of them. You should be outsourcing. The next part, I want to talk to you about this little cute baby green turtle. And if you've seen Africa series with David Attenborough, Sir David Attenborough, you may have seen these little fellows. And it's a good tool at teaching you what is the best method for cross-selling. And I'll say it briefly. Some of you may have heard it because I did an email about it in the lead up to this webinar. But basically this baby green turtle is born on a beach off the Cape in South Africa, and it's born about 400 meters up the beach, buried in its eggs are buried under, and it comes out and it's got a 400-meter mad dash to the shoreline to safety, or relative safety. And so David shows us all these turtles coming up, being born very quickly and scampering down, and it seems like it's a matter of life and death because it is very quickly. We see yellow-billed kites picking them off and having a nibble. Then we see pied crows, which are like big magpies, picking them off and having a nibble. And out of all these hundreds or thousands of baby green turtles scuttling down the beach, only a few of them are making it to the sea. So we're engaged at this point. David's got us engaged, but he knows he's got a trump card to pay. Suddenly, the camera pans back up the beach, and we go to, as David puts it, the last turtle to be born. This is the last baby green turtle in this season to be born. It pops its head out of the sand and frantically starts running for the shoreline. No kites in sight, no pied crows in sight. Things are looking great. Then a crab grabs him. A crab. David, you haven't told us about this crab. You haven't told us that crab is predatory as well. Suddenly there's crabs on him. And poor Brad the turtle, David didn't name him, but I am, because this is Brad and we know Brad now. He's being pulled back to this crab's lair, and David tells us if this crab gets poor Brad to the lair, he's a goner. He will never be seen again. He is gone. And this is the last turtle, remember? This is the last one. So we're desperate for him to escape, and he's just about to pull him down into his lair when Brad just jumps for it and scuttles free. And he frantically throws himself towards the sea, dives in, and we're like, oh, thank goodness Brad's made it. But no, it's not over there, David tells us. He's now in the Cape torrent of water that's pulling him right to the bottom of the sea and then pulling him back up on top in the waves and down and back. Just when it looks like he is literally going to drown, he manages to break free. Now he's safe, we think. He pops up for a breath of fresh air. Yep, there's a yellow-billed kite hovering above, starts swooping down, and then Brad dives and off he goes, and he's safe. And this last turtle is safe, and we all feel very happy. And I look around my living room, the whole of my family's on the edge of their seats, I'm on the edge of my beanbag. Don't ask me why. And we're glad that Brad has survived, and we bought into this character, and David didn't name him, but I deliberately did, because the BBC and David know that they've got to sell us this story of this one last turtle making his last dash for survival. And if we don't buy into that story, the rest of the program won't work as well. So we know the reality is that Brad wasn't one turtle. He was probably about 20 different turtles, but they patched it together in such a way that it looked like the same turtle the whole time, because we bought into the stories, because we are trained from a very early age to buy into stories and to buy into people's story. I told you my story at the beginning because I know that that matters, because you need to understand why I think I know anything about law firm marketing, but you'd also need to understand my background. When we are born, the first thing our parents do is read us bedtime stories. We go to school, we keep reading. When we meet people now when we're adults, we ask them, what's your story? How did you meet as a couple? What do you do for a living? We're always asking stories, and we're conditioned to storytelling and story listening. And the best way for you to tell your story and to engage with your audience is to communicate them with your client newsletter. And so many people tell me, oh, I can't do a newsletter, it's just too difficult. And I thought I'd list the cons, but this is your storytelling opportunity, and this should work fantastically well for you because it's people that already know, like, and trust you, that you're telling them more about your expertise, your story, and they can buy into you as a business, as a firm, and they can buy into understanding what you're about. So people always say software is too expensive. It's not anymore. Most case management software can, in theory, be adapted, although it amazes me how case management software people charge so much for it. But if you can't do that, you can export everyone from your case management system into software which costs as little as $20 a month, and most of the best email marketing software is American. Content's too difficult. Well, there's services galore for providing you with content. I've got one newsletter for solicitors. There's other people that provide content. You could pay a local architect, local copywriter. You could find a graduate from that's graduated from English to write your articles and learn about your story and to convey it. And it's not so content isn't the problem. Don't want to upset anyone? Well, I'll come on to that later, if I may. And you forget to do it regularly. So coming back to the whole way of marketing your practice, you shouldn't be in charge of this. So somebody has to be briefed about your story and sew your story into each of your monthly newsletters to make it more entertaining, to make it more engaging, and to get people opening it and reading it. And even if they don't open it and read it, the fact that it's done on a monthly basis because you've outsourced the content writing or you've outsourced the person who's put it into the software, and each of them is only charging 15 or 20 pounds per hour or for whatever you agree to pay them, a lot less than you can charge, remember. The fact that it happens regularly, people see your name. When they next need a solicitor, they remember who you are. And that's a key part of this, because all surveys say clients would always go to a recommended solicitor, but they can never remember who they last used because they didn't keep in touch with them. You know you should be doing this, I know, but obviously you haven't done it, so I want to get across that you need to learn how to do this. Why do I like newsletters? It's the easiest way of winning new instructions from your existing clients, reminding them about the other services you offer, and it's the easiest way of charging a reasonable fee for your service. That's quite important, isn't it? When you get clients coming back to you from something you said in an email newsletter, they're not shopping around and getting the best price, they're just coming back to you, so you can charge your normal reasonable price and there's no bartering. That's a nice way to do business, I think. Couple of questions on this. For a small firm, 3 to 5 partners, what do you think is the best use of marketing, generating new business or trying to get repeat business? The firm I work for is lured by the former and does not want to invest in the latter. Well, from what I've said above, both. The newsletter angle does not cost a lot of money. The software is inexpensive. You can get people to do this regularly and communicate with your clients. You can enclose brochures with every letter going out to clients. So the postage is already paid, you're just enclosing brochures that you already have. So you should be cross-selling to your existing clients, and occasionally, dare I say, even making an offer to them and saying, this month only, buy one will and we'll donate £50 to charity, or something that gets them to take action, because we all know people should have a will but generally don't. And the second question related to wills and how do you sell to wills, well, you have to, the person said that it's hard to sell to people. They're not reading email newsletters. They read letters. They're very much conditioned to read letters. So if you've got an older client base, you do need to be sending something in the post at least once a year to remind them that you're there and to suggest that you'll review their will, or you can have a free chat with them about any issues they've got about lasting powers of attorney, or you need to find someone else that has access to people that are in your location that will happily put on a function for you both to give a little talk about something. So you need to go where the people are. So I think that's the answer to that one. Are there important marketing tactics to enable you to have your best year yet? Brochures. I'm constantly amazed that the law firms don't generally have brochures anymore, or if they do, they've scribbled out the names of partners that are on the brochure and sort of just not replaced them. You're selling a high-priced, high-premium product. I think the minimum you should have is brochures. I know the Co-op legal services have brochures already for wills and family and everything else, and they'll be sending them out with every bank statement, every building society statement, and every newsletter, every supermarket till will have them positioned. So that should be enough proof, but brochures still worked. Direct mail leaflet drops to local areas. If you're a local firm, you should be putting your name out there. You should be using direct mail. People aren't sending mail out these days because they're cutting back on cost. The postage has gone up. For a premium service, you can still afford to do direct mail if you get the message right and you get the location right. It will pay for itself. Joint venture relationships, finding other businesses that already have your clients, whether that's accountants, estate agents, and not paying, but building a relationship that actually is mutually beneficial. I talk about a triangle of mutual benefit when it comes to referrals. There's the client at the top, there's the referrer down one side, and there's you at the other. Unless you fill this triangle with mutual benefit in here, the triangle collapses and it becomes a flat line, and nobody likes a flat line. So there's got to be a benefit for everyone involved in this process. So that's a good place to go. Advertising in the right places, and perhaps one of the best ones, converting more leads from existing inquiries. You've already got a lot of people coming to you. If you're not dealing with their telephone inquiries quickly enough, you will lose them. If you're not following up in email and in writing, you will lose them. If you're not sending them a brochure when you follow up in writing, you will lose them. You have to work harder to convert every single inquiry, because that is money for old rope. You've already got the inquiry there. If you have 100 inquiries each month and you're currently converting 30, a little bit of work turns that into 40. It's cost you nothing extra. So that's definitely something else you should be doing. Couple of questions. Thank you, Nick. I'm interested in drafting of leaflets, flyers for commercial law firm. Fantastic. Do it, definitely. What should it all be about? It should all be about the client. As I said at the beginning, it's all about you. It's all about the client in this case. So your client, put that client first. So when you write the brochure, find out from your current commercial clients what's their biggest anxiety about changing their solicitor, because they probably already got one. Answer those questions in the opening copy. Make it all about, well, you've probably already got a commercial solicitor. Why would you want to change? Well, this is what we do. This is how we operate differently. Make it all about the client and what's important to them. And don't talk about you until you've gone through what the client's needs and concerns are. But you should absolutely, in a commercial environment, have brochures. Is there still room for a high street shop front? And what's the best form of marketing communication? I think we've covered them. There's still definitely room. If you have a high street front, make use of it. Make sure there's a list of your services on the window and an A-board that people have to walk past in the street to actually read it. Make sure you get to know the businesses around you so people can send them your way. Don't be a hermit in your office and hide from everybody. What's the best form of marketing? Well, your newsletter and local leaflet drops, brochures, those will definitely work. How do you market personal injury within a high street firm that covers all areas of law? And they're saying that's a detriment. That's a benefit. Because if you've got other clients that haven't come to you for personal injury, on your email marketing newsletter, they will do. And local website marketing, again, will attract people that are local and that are in your field of law. A few final things before I wrap up and give you the checklist at the end. When you start doing marketing, some things happen. And I need to prepare you for this, because if you haven't done a lot before, you've tried some things and given up. I need to reassure you that this is perfectly normal, because so many people stop too soon. You will make mistakes. One of my mottos is perfection kills momentum. With marketing, it isn't a legal contract. You're allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to get it wrong. You can make those mistakes as long as you correct them. And if it's a website mistake, you can correct that pretty much instantly. If it's something in print, you can correct it on the next print run or run another print run. You're allowed to make mistakes. The other thing that happens if you start doing more marketing is suddenly your friends, neighbors, other solicitors feel the divine right to comment that you're doing something and to make you feel bad about it. Well, thanks very much, friend, neighbor, solicitor. Ignore them. It's normally because they're jealous or frightened. You've taken them out of their comfort zone. You've got to promote your business. If you don't, you will disappear. If you don't do things differently year after year, you don't explore new marketing tactics, it's not going to be the same business in a few years' time, but it needs to be. The next people, they're the worst, the people that feel they need to complain. My rule of thumb for this is if less than 20% of your client base that you've contacted complain, that's okay. You might think that number's a bit high, but if it's the minority, and so if it's certainly 3-5% that are moaning about an email newsletter or a communication you've sent, tell them they can click the unsubscribe button. They'll never hear from you again. If it's the majority, absolutely. Change the message, work on your story, make sure you're communicating or conveying a benefit to them. But don't let the moaners, because they are normally, 99% of the time, they're normally the problem clients that don't want to pay their bills and that make you work 5 times as hard for the same service. I find, without doubt, that's always the case. With marketing, the more you do, the better you get at it. So the more you manage your suppliers and you get involved in these tactics and you interview 5-10 suppliers about a tactic, the better you get, the more it works. And finally, it can feel lonely. If you're the decision maker in your practice, you're marketing your business, you might have staff support, you might be a one-man band, doesn't matter. It's a lonely experience, and it's not particularly easy to do that at times. And what I said earlier is that the past has been solicitors going it alone. I think the future will be setting up ways of sharing information and not having to do everything on your own. Which is why I like this quote from Eleanor Roosevelt: great minds discuss ideas, average minds discuss events, small minds discuss people. And what the thing I wanted to tell you about today that I'm launching is all about getting great minds together with my OK mind, and making each of your businesses stronger. So it's all about group consulting, and it doesn't involve you leaving your practice, which might be a benefit, but it's getting a group of people together to get you to share your ideas regularly, to get you to share what's worked and what's not worked, to agree to take action, and then most importantly to help each other in between, to have someone in control of that group, but above all that, having accountability to somebody, and preferably lots of people or more than one person, to make sure you do what you say you're going to do. Now, I would be a hypocrite if I was promoting something that I've never done. Everything I do, I've always said to you, I practice what I preach. So all of the marketing methods I do the email marketing, I do the website marketing, I do every type of website marketing. I, I focus on attraction marketing because my business is just like yours. I'm selling a professional service based on expertise. You need to believe that I actually know what I'm talking about, which is why I do these webinars, why I write emails. And you're the same. That's the same service. So I have always invested in a business coach from day one, and certainly for the last 2-3 years in group consulting. I'm currently a member of a group which has marketing consultants from the UK, from Australia, from America, from Israel, and it's run by somebody in Israel. And it's a fantastic group. I spend a lot of money to be in it, but it's worth it because I do need people to bounce ideas off. I do need to see what's worked for someone else that could work for me and to test it and apply it. And that's what group consulting is all about. The reason it works, and I've got some stories of why it works, which I think sort of prove the concept better than anything I could say. But along the bottom, it's group sharing. The solicitors are completely isolated, and I'm aware that they don't share what's working because of the fear of competition. But I think moving forward, the future is definitely about sharing, but not with your direct competitor in the office next door to you. It's about sharing with a group that's not competitive, but who are in the same sector, who are in the same area, legal services, and can share ideas. It's about then coming up with the best in breed practices to put in place and say, how can we do this best? What's the best way of doing this? And each of you learning from each other to do things better. And most importantly of all, it's about group accountability. Now, I love the accountability angle because I always thought when I started my business, I thought, well, it's my own business. Everything I do in that business is for my benefit. So I'm not answering to anybody. So therefore, I will have the best. I'll work 7 till 9 every day, and I'll work every weekend, and because I know it's all coming back to me. But sadly, we're not conditioned that way. You go back to stories. We're conditioned to be accountable to somebody. So even if you run your business, from an early age, initially we were accountable to our parents, then we were accountable to the school teachers and the headmaster, then we were accountable to our employer, and if you're a litigation solicitor, you're accountable to the district judge and you don't want to upset him. You've got the SRA. So we are groomed for accountability, and that works for us. When you have all of that, when you put all that together, you get things happening, and you get things happening faster, improved cash flow, happier staff, happier clients, more time, more profits. And the more time for you is to do what you want to do, whether that's more management, whether that's engaging in the next marketing tactic, or whether it's taking more time off because you've put in place systems, you've automated your marketing to happen with or without you. That's what this is about. It's about the left-hand side going up, your growth in the middle going up, because you've automated, you've got accountability, you're sharing, and you've got best in breed. I was going to say to you a couple of interesting stories. One is I set up a group consulting group a couple of years, 3 years back, to test this out for a couple of years before I even thought about launching it. Solicitors, because like the business, like the franchise I ran before, I like to test things first before I start offering them. I had someone in that group who had been paying £2,000 a month, and if that figure scares you, don't worry, mine is nowhere near that. That might please you. Had been paying £2,000 a month to be a part of a marketing group, and he had been in that for nearly a year. He came to the one I organised, which I took control of, with other marketing consultants and people in my sector. He said he had more value in that first day with my session than he had in the whole of the £24,000 a month, £24,000 a year group before. So he understood that this worked, and thankfully he liked the way I was doing things. The other story is in this same group we used to meet, and one of the meetings was in the Cotswolds, and it was about this time of year a couple of years ago. One of the guys came down from Scotland. The flights were cancelled because of snow again. He drove through the night to get to this group because he knew it was that important to his business. Now, there's not much more of a better example of why it works and how important it was to him than that. He drove through the night because he knew it was that important for him to get to this meeting because it would help his business. Why am I doing it now? Well, I know that there's more challenges out there in the legal marketplace than there's ever been before. There's more competition. There's people with bigger budgets, and there's people from outside coming in with new ideas. You've got to compete with the likes of Quality Solicitors, brilliant law now. I'm just waiting for Awesome Lawsome to be launched next, and then I'm sure there'll be a few others. You can choose to fight them alone, and if you use the methods I've said earlier, you will get some success. But I know that you can fast-track that success by working together with me and with some other solicitors in a small group of 6. you can fast track this experience and you can fast track your progress in 2013, and that's what I'm interested in achieving for you. What does it actually entail? The first thing it will be is a 90-minute one-on-one call with me to prepare your bespoke marketing action plan. This is to list out, to find out exactly what you're doing, the areas of law you operate in, which areas you want more of, and then to put together a plan which will achieve that. There'll be one group consulting session every month. The first month is a 2-hour group session where obviously there'll be introductions, but initially it will review what you've done, make sure you've done what you said you were going to do, share the results and share other people's successes, because I know it's the successes that will breed you to be motivated and remotivated and to fall back in love with your business that perhaps you once used to, but now you feel it's just become too much of a strain. The alternate month will be a 60 to 90-minute Q&A session which you'll all attend to see what people are doing, see where people are stuck, make sure you keep moving forward. There's one-on-one email support and telephone support with me. There'll be a group forum where you can keep talking to each other and sharing ideas in between each session. Access to my suppliers who I've tried and tested with my own money 99% of the time, because as I said, I perhaps sort of preach. And there's a special launch price which won't be repeated again because I know the value this will bring, but I want people to experience it. I want you to be my pioneers to try and say, wow, okay, that was good, and it was very good value at the time too. So there'll be all of that. What will it do for you? Well, one of the biggest problems I hear is I don't know where to start, Nick. I know I need to do more marketing, but I just don't know. There's so many tactics. Where do I go? We'll give you that path to follow. You'll know exactly what will work for your practice, for the areas of law you operate in. The accountability point, as I say, is crucial. We've all been trained to be accountable, even if it's your own business. So that will work. You'll be motivated. You'll be energized by the fact that you're doing things, getting results, learning from it, sometimes getting it wrong, but putting it right and then seeing even better results. And you won't have to do it all alone. You won't be the one that has to deal with the staff issues, the marketing, the regulation, the SRA, the client issues. You'll have other people that are dealing with exactly the same thing that you'll be open and sharing with to make things better. As I've said, I've always been a member of group consulting. I know how well it works, and I'm very much looking forward to working with a select few solicitors to make this work for them. I'm going to come on to the checklist I promised you in a minute, and I'm also going to say what I'll do about that, getting it to you in the past. I've worked with different people. Michael came to see me to prepare his marketing action plan. He went away perfectly happy, and he's gone away to implement it. Patrick is an existing client, an ongoing client. I would also say a friend now. He's a thoroughly delightful chap, and he's already seeing some growth, but I know 2013 is going to be a phenomenal year for him. I want 2013 to be a phenomenal year for you too. So one thing I want to say is there's a great quote from Peter Drucker, who has several good quotes if you're ever interested in motivational or business quotes. Don't tell me you've had a great webinar today if you found some useful tools here. Don't just tell me. Show me that you've had a great webinar by doing things differently from next week. Make things happen now that you haven't done before. Don't do the same as you did in 2012. Let's make 2013 a much better year for you yet. If you want to do that, and if you're interested in finding out more about this group consulting scheme, and say there's only 6 spaces, go now to sampsonconsulting.co.uk/2013, click on Make 2013 the Best Yet, and you'll find out all about the scheme. You'll find out the application process, the form you need to fill in, just a few details. I'll set up a one-on-one telephone call, and we'll discuss how the scheme works in more detail, and decide whether it's right for you. I'll send you all the terms and all the details so you can decide whether it's the right thing for you to do. It's only you that can answer that, but obviously I'll explain in detail how that works. So go to sampsonconsulting.co.uk/2013, click on Make 2013 the Best Yet, and you can find out in more detail. So what are you going to do in 2013? You have to do something different. Please don't do the same thing this year and expect different results. Don't keep riding the marketing roller coaster. You've got to automate your marketing systems so that they work with or without you, and they're not leaving you high and dry when you get busy and you don't do any marketing. You have to choose the right marketing tactics. So remember, push, pull. you should have a website that's generating 50% of your new client leads. If it's not working properly. You need to change that. You should be using your newsletters. You should be looking at brochures, direct mail, joint ventures, advertising, converting more leads from existing inquiries. Very good place to start if you're not doing that. And finally, please remember, if you're not upsetting anyone with your marketing, you're just not doing enough. So please do some more. And if you want 2013 to be a great year, and you want me to guide you and to work with other solicitors that are just like you, that also want to grow their business, and get swept along in the tide of progress that will inevitably come from it, because that's how it works, then join me at /2013 and click on Make 2013 the Best Yet, and let's have a chat and see if it works for you. But let's get this going. So thank you all very much for your time. I really hope that you found this useful. If you're not going to come and work with me, that's fine, as I say, but if you do take some action as a result of this webinar and it works, please do share it with me. I have immense job satisfaction when a solicitor tells me they've read one of my tips, they've taken some advice, and they got some results, and it was fantastic. Don't keep it to yourself. If it's worked, I'm not going to ask you for a retrospective fee, but just let me know, because it puts a smile on my face and it makes this all worthwhile. If you want to work one-on-one, go to /2013, click on Make the Best Yet, and let's start talking, and let's get you going to make sure that 2013 is a great year. I hope you all have a fantastic evening, and I look forward to hearing from you at some time in the future. All the best. Thank you very much.